I
Oh my
used the new
gosh.
mask. So I'm taking it off. I've had it on for
I
the
was
last
not
hour.
expecting that.
So this is it. This is the damage control mask. I just had it on for the last hour. It's actually more durable. You can actually see all the shiny. It's more durable than like the ones I've ever bought at the grocery store. You know how you get like at Target, you can get like those one-off kind of packs. This is
Mhm.
thicker. Like I would actually say like I'm tugging on it and it's not pulling. So if you've had one of these before and they usually rip like as you're getting them out of the packaging, I was actually really impressed that this one does it. It is cooling. So it is cold here. Mackenzie, it looks like it might be cold where you are too. Like it is cold here in Dallas. It's like 38 degrees, I think. So I'm putting on my sweater now. That cooling mask actually like made me chilly. But um it comes in a pack. I'm gonna show y'all. Let me make sure this is recording. It is. Okay. It comes in a pack of, oh, I, my Zoom is doing this like auto zoom thing. So if it looks like it gets weird, it's that. Okay. So it comes in a pack of a box, and then it has 5 of these in it. And I think it's $32 today. If you buy 3 boxes, you get one free. So that's 20 masks for the cost of 15, right? Yeah. And I don't know if you get one of those 3 free or if you get an additional one free. So if anybody knows that answer, let me know. Um, and but I do think they're really good. And I'm actually going to send them out to all of my level 1 customers as a Christmas thank you. So I'm just going to send them one package. So I'm going to buy a pack of 5, and then I'm going to just send them a little card. I don't even know how this is going to work. So I'm going to have to find cards that are big enough. These are like little ones that Ella's, golly, that's annoying. I got to make it stop doing
This is
that.
Halloween.
But yeah, like if it's just a normal size like card or Ella's school. Oh, this is Young Life, but all the little friends draw a picture and then they make them into like little cards. This one looks a little weird. Pick one that doesn't look so weird. Okay, this is scenery, but these, if you just say like Merry Christmas, I'm so grateful for you being my customer, and you stick this in there and then you put it in the envelope, it'll fit perfectly. And you shouldn't have to add any postage to it. But anyway, that's my idea on the soothing treatment mask called damage control. Again, you get 5 of these in a box. A box is $32. Oh, and today the 10% off has continued. So I haven't tried it yet, but I think you can also get the buy 3, get 1 free and 10% off. So you could buy like 4 boxes, 4 or 5 boxes, however you want to do it, however many customers you have or you think you're going to have. Or you could also send them to new ambassadors. Like if people are new VIPs, if someone joins you this month, you could easily say like, "Hey, I'm going to drop something in the mail. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so grateful you trusted me. I just want to send you this little fun gimme." And I actually think these are going to be more fun for us to give to other people. I think some people will buy them and stick them in their cart because people like them. Um, but also, if you have someone that's doing it, oh, make it stop. How do I make that stop? Somebody buy 3, get 1 free. But Christy, does that mean that like you buy 3 boxes and you get a 4th box free? Or if you buy 3, one of your 3 boxes is free? Okay. Buy 3 boxes, get a 4th box free.
Let me like triple check, but I was just looking at it and my understanding was buy 3 and then you get the 4th free.
Okay. That's what I was hoping. If anybody knows how to turn off this auto zoom thing, I also really appreciate it. How do I make it stop? This is me figuring it out as we go. I don't know. Okay. I'm going to try to sit really still while I talk to Jessica about SrGold Fly-In. Okay. I'm going to ask you a little bit of background on your story with Plexus, just because I think it'll kind of set it up a little bit, Jess. But um, I know you joined with Lexi, but what did she post about that actually made you want to join?
So it wasn't a post or anything. We had actually went wedding dress shopping for me. And all of my girlfriends had came back to my house and, we're just sitting around talking, killing time. And I was like saying how I had all of these things wrong with me. And Lexi was basically like, I started Plexus recently. She had never told me that before. I don't know when she started, but she was like, I started Plexus and it's really helping me and it's helped my sister Brandy a lot. Like, you should just give it a try. And I mean, at that point, I had been to every doctor there was. If y'all don't know my story, I just had a lot of GI issues, skin issues, a lot of things going on. And every doctor I went to was a dead end road, and I was exhausted and just like miserable. And so, I mean, I had nothing else to lose. So, Lexi telling me just, hey, you should give them a try. And I was like, why not? Okay, sure. So I ordered like, I think within a few days of her telling me that.
Okay, so when did you actually share for the first time? Like you ordered, you're a VIP. When did you actually sign up to be a VIP?
February
Okay.
22nd or something like that, end of
Okay.
February. And I,
So February, March, April, May, June, you
mhm.
decide to upgrade to be a brand ambassador. What made you decide to be a brand ambassador?
I think it was just because I was having such great results from the products. Like, I was like, if this helps someone else, so be it. Like, I wanted to share and why not make some income, try to help cover my products.
Yeah. Okay, so you share your first month in June and do you know roughly how much you made in June?
It wasn't much because I don't think I shared until like the end of April. Well, that would be
Oh,
May.
April. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I think I added like my mom at the end of April. And so April wasn't really anything. And then June, or let's see, May, I think I may have shared with like three or four people. So probably like $400 or $500, I think. I don't really remember, but yeah. And so that's what me and Lexi had talked. We were like, I think we want to, do the business part of it.
Okay, and then so June rolls around, and Becky and I were laughing about this morning. She couldn't come in because she had something already scheduled, but she and I were laughing because I think they pretty much like sat on you and like tried to make y'all come to convention, and y'all were like, "No, we're really busy. There's a lot." And then you were getting married in July. I know that because I was actually in Elberton, Georgia, where you live, or near there in July, and I knew you were actually gone, but like in June, like we're like, hey, come to convention. It's gonna be so much fun. And you're probably like, what have I gotten myself into? So tell me a little bit about that because I think a lot of people are still like, I mean, I don't mind sharing, but I don't know if I want to be like in this company, in this business, like drinking the Kool-Aid kind of a thing.
Right. So in June, originally we were supposed to go on my bachelorette trip during the weekend or week of convention. So it was a hard no for us, but then we ended up changing the dates. And Lacey and I both work full time. So we were just like, there is no way we can like take off during the week. But I mean, we were still very interested in going to convention, but it just like we didn't make it work. I
Yeah.
guess we could have, but we were not
Well,
interested in making it work.
and at that point, you're kind of like, why would I? Like, it's kind of like, I mean, I'm dabbling. I want to cover the cost of my products, but do I want to spend more than I'm making right now to come to convention? I don't know if it's worth it yet.
Yeah, June was actually a really big month for me. That's really when I feel like I got started and like things started going crazy because I think you sign up maybe for $1 and you got a free reset. And I remember I was like actually at a campground and had no phone service, and people were messaging me, and I was like doing my best to like follow up with them. I'm like, I gotta send these people up. It was so funny. Lexi texted me. She was like, "What is going on?" Because I think I signed up like 8 people in 1 week or just something crazy. But
Yeah.
that was like my, jump start getting started. But I will say, when Becky and Ashley like on Zoom call for the first time, we both were like, "Oh my gosh, like why? No, like we don't want to do that." But I know Lexi does it for work, but I'm like not. I can be sociable once I get to know people, but just like hopping on a Zoom with people, and I'm like, what are we going to talk about? But we did it, and it was fine, and it was good for us, I think.
Would you feel like, because this is me, I'd rather be on social media all day long, kind of behind my screen, kind of safe, but I can be bold on social media. But if you meet me in person, I'm like a little bit of an introvert. I mean, if you told me 12 years ago, this is the day after I signed up 12 years ago to be a brand ambassador. So if you kind of similar to you, I was a customer for 5 months and then decided, I mean, why not? But that was my day yesterday was the day I signed up. And so this would be my first full day as like a Plexus ambassador 12 years ago. If you had told me I'd be leading Zooms and like comfortably talking on them, I'd have been like, I can't even talk to my own friends in front of like I remember like I was maybe like gold or senior gold and Celeste and Roz, my two uplines had come to my house and I had just a room full of friends, like 20, 25 people that were all just friends trying to figure out what Plexus was. And they were like, well, come up and introduce us. I was like, if I could not be at the front of the room, that would be really good for all of us. And if you'll, I don't mind sitting back and like talking if you ask me a question, but I don't want to actually lead anything. So this would have been like way outside my comfort zone. So you seem really bold on social media. So I would guess if I met you on a Zoom or in person that you're that same person. But I do think sometimes we have like a social media personality and a real, not a real life personality, but like a face to face, belly to belly personality. And they just sometimes are different. So would you say that you're more bold kind of on social where it feels a little bit like safe and
Yeah,
it's
yeah, I would say I'm more bold on social media. And I mean, I can be in person. Lacey would probably tell you a different story. Like, we've been friends for forever. And so, like, when I'm around them, like, I don't hold back and I talk, I overshare all the things. But it's actually funny because, like, when I went to Arizona, you're sitting in a room full of people you don't know. You've never met these people. I couldn't even tell you, like, any of their names. And then they're like, all right, go around the room and share something about you. And I'm just like, are you like, what?
die, absolutely die.
Like,
Even now, that would probably kill me.
I have to like very premeditated. Like, I like to be able to think things through before, like, before talking. Like, even for this, I'm not going to lie, I to the side had a little thing typed out because I don't want to miss things and I don't want to, trip over my words. Not that any of that matters, but, just I'm becoming more bold and more comfortable. I think the more I learn about the products and the company, the easier it is to talk about things.
Well, and I think there's people that are real quick on their feet and like think of things like in the moment. And I'm like a little bit more of a verbal processor, but then I also need to think about what I want to, how I want to say, or like even now, if you said someone on our team page said something about like, is it a pyramid scheme? If someone was belly to belly with me and said, oh, Plex is a pyramid scheme, I know all the kind of answers in my head, but I can't formulate them. But if you gave me 5 minutes to sit down with my computer and write a post about it, not a problem. But I kind of need to process it without feeling like on like defensive or like put like on the spot. And so I think some people do really well on the spot and some people struggle. And so I almost think those of us that struggle on the spot do really well on social media because we actually are thinkers and like we are real intentional with our posts. And people that are on the spot are great, like a Becky on the phone, on a Zoom, belly to belly. She does really, really great with that. I mean, she does phenomenal posts. She's an incredible writer. But I think people on the spot do really good with those kind of conversations too. So I think you can kind of decide like, are you an on the spot person or do you kind of have to like meditate on something and think about it? Okay, so speaking of Arizona, you earned the rank of senior ruby or senior gold, which put you in a senior gold fly-in. Just happened to be a brand new thing we just rolled out, and then you hit senior gold. You fast start senior gold, which is incredible, anyways, and you go to Arizona. What are your expectations? Because kind of piggybacking on the convention conversation is you're like, I mean, I've never done a Plexus event. You hadn't even seen Becky and I when we came to Elberton. So really your only like exposure in person to Plexus people was your friends, people you knew kind of in like in, East Georgia, like kind of hanging out. What were you expecting? And I asked this because my husband went to corporate for the first time a couple of years ago, just a couple of years ago. We have been in the company for 12 years. He went to the corporate for the first time a couple of years ago. And he was like, oh, it's like a real corporate. It's like you'll have a real building and it's real people and you have an HR department and a legal department and like you have all like it's an actual like corporate office. It's super professional. And I was like, what did you expect? He's like, I mean, I've known Alec and Tarl for 12 years, so kind of just a mom and pop I just kind of expected it to be kind of piecemealed together, and I was like, oh no, it's a legit company. So kind of curious, what were you expecting? And then how did it meet or exceed your expectations?
I don't know that I really had a whole lot of expectations. I was just kind of going into it blind, I guess. I didn't know. Tried to do some research on Facebook and like, what did these girls do before, like at the last ones? But I didn't really find a whole lot besides just some pictures. Um, but yes, I was like blown away by, you walk into this building, this whole building belongs to them. They have your customer service team that you talk to when you chat, they have or call them, the CEO and founders, they all have their own offices. They have just a ton of employees there, really and truly. Like they have everything. Like you said, HR, they have what is it like the compliance people who are like watching, making sure you're doing the right thing. Even the warehouse, they have, you walk out back and there's your warehouse and people are hand picking tickets. You place your order, someone is printed off, someone goes and packs your box and ships it out, which was super impressive. I'm thinking like some kind of different warehouse. I don't know what I was expecting, but that was very neat just to see that everything that happens in Plexus and behind the scenes, they were all there. Like it was so neat. Yeah.
Did you get to go in the lab at all? Did you get to go where like Dr. Hartman, where they, okay, so tell us a little bit. I've never been in there in all these years. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, the lab was super cool. I didn't expect that. So basically there was like three girls in there. I guess they're like, I don't know what you would call them, like little scientists.
Probably R&D, like research and developers. Like
Right.
they're chemists
And
and scientists. They develop our products.
right, yeah. So and they literally are in there like mixing stuff together and like making new flavors and making new products. And one girl said that she helped with a skincare line or skin health line. And I'm like, that is so cool. It's so small. And they're just in there, doing their thing. So that was really cool.
Okay, so you might have gotten to taste something. Did they tell you you couldn't talk about it?
They didn't know. Mm-mm.
Okay, so do you want to tell us what you got to? I assume what you got to taste because I know a lot of people have gone up there and tasted the same thing. So do you want to tell us what you got to taste?
We got to taste like a blueberry raspberry flavor hydrate. Okay, yeah. They didn't say we couldn't say anything about
Yeah,
it.
no, I've heard about it a
Like
few times, so I thought maybe you
here's
could.
here's a flavor like we mixed up. um, it was so good. It was probably like my favorite flavor of hydrate. I'm hoping that they launch it. I guess maybe they will.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it may be the spring or summer flavor like LTO flavor launch. So I
it's
think that'll be
super
fun.
good, very refreshing. Yeah, I loved it.
Okay, so what do you feel like people don't know about Plexus? Like if you go back to like Jessica, like, February, March, April, where you're kind of like, I mean, did you know anything about Plexus before Lexi talked to you about it the day that you were in like, had you kind of like heard people talk about it
I
before that?
mean, I've known Ashley for forever, I feel like. So yes, I've seen her post, seen Corey and Jody's post. I don't know if I guess, the biggest thing is people think it's a scam, and maybe I was one of them. I wouldn't have ever said it was a scam. I would, just be more like, no, I'm not gonna try that. But I don't know. I guess, I told somebody the other day that I wish I would have started sooner, but if I started sooner, I wouldn't have the story that I have to tell, and I wouldn't be able to help people the way that I am now because I do have a testimony and a story to tell. So, just for people who haven't started yet, they just need to hear the right thing and see the right post, I guess, something that touches home to them. But
Do you feel like that keeps you posting different ways because you're like, okay, there's the Jessica that like is kind of skeptical. There's the Jessica that like really needs it, just needs someone to explain it better. Like, do you kind of almost post like different versions of you over the last year of like, this is kind of what I thought this way, so I'm going to post here. Like when you're thinking of a post, because your posting is phenomenal. In fact, if you don't follow Jessica, please follow her on social. Just kind of follow along and see how she posts. Your pictures are beautiful. They start the scroll and and then your content is really good. So is there kind of a thought process that you go through when posting, or do you just kind of post whatever's in your head and it just kind of shows up on social?
I feel like I have a very long thought process. I think about everything, overthink everything. So yeah, what I do, I feel like in my mind, subconsciously, like, I think of something and then I really dig deep into maybe that subject of how this helped me, why it helped me, how it can help others, and then kind of go from there. But of course, you want to post things that are eye catching, things that, stop the scroll and that people can relate to. I don't know where I heard this, or maybe I was on a Zoom call the other day, but like, if people are looking for recommendations on, I had a girl this weekend looking for recommendations on something to help her with her hair loss. And so maybe I don't like to, cold message anyone ever, but maybe instead of cold messaging somebody, make a post that is relatable to them, because on their comments, there's 10 other girls who are experiencing the same thing, or they're trying, rain on things on Amazon. And if you post the right thing, they'll be like, I'll give it a try. I need to grow my hair, things like that.
Okay, that's so funny that you say that. Would you actually, because I like this is a legit question, would you actually get in those comments and be like, oh, I just made a post about this, or oh, I found something that's really helping me? Or do you just kind of like
Absolutely.
slyly go over and go, okay, I'm just gonna make a post and hope they see it?
It depends on the person,
Okay, yeah.
really and truly. If I know them, like I knew the girl who was looking for something to help with her hair loss, I commented and said, "Girl, I got you." And then I messaged her because I do know her personally. But if it's someone I don't, I still comment usually, and just be like, these products have helped me or whatever. And then a few days later, I may just post something relatable.
I love that because I do think like you don't want to get in there and be like, I sell plexus. Da, 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 da. It's more like, girl, I have something that has been helping. Like, I know something that would help you a lot. Because then what happens is it creates curiosity with other people. They're like, well, I want to know if you've got something, I want to know what you've got. But you're not so kind of in their face because the second you say plexus or they might go, oh, I've already tried that. But if you kind of get them curious, then that's a really good way to do it. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the last thing I want to ask you about is meeting Kenley Severin. So I messaged Kenley before. For those of y'all that don't know Kenley, she is a 3-star diamond. She's probably one of the fastest growing teams in our entire company right now. She's bold and unashamed and so much fun and probably and one of the things I will say about Kenley is that she has a massive team growing of people who've never heard about Plexus before. So it's a whole new market. Both Kenley and her network are kind of like fresh to the network marketing scene, to the Plexus scene. So it wasn't like a lot of their community had been doing it a lot like you had, Jessica. But I messaged Kenley ahead of time and said, hey, my girl Jessica's coming to corporate. Love on her. And so she's been following Jessica. Jessica, I think, has been following Kenley. But what would you say you kind of gleaned some wisdom from someone who is in the midst of it, building like maybe just, a couple of years ahead of where we're like a decade, we built a decade ago our massive teams where when you're kind of sitting, in front of Kenley and she's talking directly to you, what are some things that you kind of got from her that you're like, this is how I'm actually going, like, this is just some things I'm going to implement?
Right. So with Kinley, I didn't know Kinley personally before then, but I actually did follow a lot of girls on her team. And the reason why is because I felt like it was important in the company to find people that I relate to, girls my age or, people who were at the same point in life as me. So I followed a lot of her girls. So when she started talking and I'm like, oh, Maddie's on your team or, whoever, so and so. And I'm, asking her questions about them because I followed them. But one of the biggest takeaways, and I wrote this down actually, that Kinley talked about was flipping the script on like our negative thoughts and turn them into like more of a truth. So like I wrote down like instead of saying like I'm not enough, like flip the script and say God says I'm chosen and capable, or I'm not a leader, I'm becoming a leader. I can never do that. If she can, I can too. Because I think a lot of us let fear and doubt hold us back. And like even for me personally, I told her that, I think y'all had sent a message at one point and was just like, be bold and like don't care about what other people are thinking, because are they really thinking that, or are you telling yourself that they're thinking that, if that makes sense? Because a lot of times it's just you in your own head. And you just have to get past that. So I love that she talked a lot on that and just, it made me realize that just a few years ago, she was just like me, starting fresh, starting new, and she took it and ran with it, and she didn't let those doubts hold her back. So that was like one of the main things that she talked about that I just loved and stuck with me.
I love it. Okay. I did think like, okay, so much of your community already knows about Plexus, right? Like has seen Ashley or Jody or Corey or even Lexi sharing about it. So if you have all of these community friends that are already kind of building and growing and they're like, well, I already talked to so-and-so, or I joined so-and-so a few years ago, or all this kind of conversation. How are you growing outside of that community? How are you going, okay, if all of my friends and friends of friends kind of already know Plexus exists, a lot of them are going to join you because they're more comfortable with you, or you have a different story that they're telling, or whatever. So even though if they've heard it from saying Ashley for the last 12 years, that they're like, oh, but I'm closer to Jessica, I'm going to join Jessica. And that's awesome. That happens all the time. How are you going to grow out? Like, how are you intentionally growing outside of that small community, to kind of get people who aren't already talking to somebody else or aren't already on someone else's team?
Making new friends, making new interactions with people on social media. I feel like is a huge thing. I do have like a lot of friends outside of Elberton, I guess, because I lived in Athens, I've lived in Franklin County, and I live in Hart County. So there actually is a lot of people, even people from Elberton, who haven't heard about Plexus. So I know a lot of times people think, what do they say, like the water's murky, or there's a lot of people here and they're like, oh, I can't share, like too many people already know. But that's not true, because I'm sure, I mean, I've probably added, I don't know, 100 people this year, and that's 100 people who majority of them had not heard of Plexus. They're asking me, they're like, what is this? What are you selling? What do you got? And I'm telling them about it, and just, yeah, new interactions, commenting on people's stuff. Like it's a slow build, but you're planting seeds along the way, and, essentially building a bigger community base.
I love it. Okay, last question. What's your goal for Ruby? What month do you think you're going to hit Ruby?
Um, I would love this past month was one of my best months. And like I kept getting on my calculator and saying, oh, I'm really not that far. Like I'm over halfway there. So I don't know how December will go. Just with Christmas, I know it can still go good, but I'm thinking January, February, back Cancun. I want to be Ruby. Back Cancun.
You've
That's my goal.
swept the contest, right? So you are extra day, all the things. Like she's having the best trip ever for.
Yes, I'm so excited. Nick's excited. I gotta get my passport still.
Oh, girl, you got to get on that, especially with holidays.
I know. I'm gonna do it ASAP. But yeah, we're excited.
Okay, so on that note, I really want to encourage everyone. I know that it's so easy in December to say, like, oh, half the month is kind of gone with holidays. But I will say this was my day one of my business, December 1st. And December was a great month. It was a launching month. There were so many fun things happening. And I will say, up until December 31st, I mean, Ellen Ford joined, on New Year's Eve. Like, there is so much still happening. So, um, today, I think we launched, like we talked about at the beginning of the call, the damage control masks. So that's fun. That's just like a little thing. They extended the 10% off and free shipping for the whole website through today. They've done, oh, did they announce 369? Yes, nobody? Okay, they did announce it. Okay. So if you add three, you get $150. If you add six, you get $300. And if you add nine new level one VIPs this month, you get $450 cash. So that's like a kind of the cash thing, kind of like we had last month. Um, so more ways to earn Christmas cash. And for those of y'all that are like, oh, I went over my Christmas budget, like that will help kind of buffer that on the backside when all the credit card bills start coming in at the beginning of January. So 369. And then they haven't announced it, but on Thursday they will. There's a call on Thursday. And if you have the opportunity, please put it on your calendar. I'm going to give you the actual time that it's happening. I think it's an Academy. Um, not Academy Sports and Outdoors. Let's get this right. On Thursday, does anyone have the details on the call that's happening? Because it's not on Academy. Anybody want to unmute and tell me what time they remember that call is going to be? Nope. I'm going to find it while we're all sitting here.
I was going to say one more thing too. So while we're talking about, December being slow, I think it's a great opportunity to push people to start their January 1st New Year's resolution thing. Like say, okay, well, let's go ahead and get your products here. So on the January 1st, you'll be ready to rock and roll. I think we can take that and push that really well.
Do you have a favorite pack? Do you have like a kind of go-to, like I have everyone start here? Or if someone said, okay, Jessica, where do I start? I just want to lose weight and feel better, and I just want to be a better me. What's kind of like your go-to link cart?
Triplex, 100% triplex. And then if they're looking for more energy active, because that's what I started with. I think I started when the bag of active was like free with the purchase, the sampler pack. So it came with like all 3 flavors. That's what I started on. That's what I love. That's what kickstarted everything for me. So I always say, let me, send you a card of what I started with, and we can start here. And then if you want more down the road, add more then. But I don't like to overwhelm them with too much at first.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, triplex is, I mean, it's tried and true, right? And did you do a reset? Because you said that when your business kind of launched in June, you did 2 resets before you kind of started talking about them. Okay.
Mhm.
So I just think that's a really good, especially going into January when people are like, I don't know if I want a whole system. I don't know if I want to do like how big I want to go, like doing a reset in January, February, and March, like just picking, like just doing one a month for 3 months is a really good way to do it too, because it's still a 3-month commitment. But just telling people like, okay, if you just do one the first 3 days of January, you do one the first 3 days of February, and one the first 3 days of March, maybe you'll kind of combine with all the other things you're doing. If you're getting a gym membership or you're starting, to walk or whatever it is you start, people are committed to doing starting January 1st, like a reset's a really good, like additional commitment that maybe feels a little bit not as big as taking drinks and 2 pills, every day for, 90 days. Okay. So I added the information. So if y'all want to copy paste it, but of course it's in the table as well. They're calling it the Holiday Deal Drop live stream. It's on Thursday, the 4th at 7 Eastern, so 6 Central. Um, and that is they're going to announce a bunch of stuff on Thursday, but then they're going to explain exactly how to use it and all the kind of perks around it on that Thursday call. So if you have the opportunity, I would just set an alarm. I think I will be in Abilene at a basketball game, but I will probably still be like watching it if I'm like in the car in between, because I think it's really important sometimes to hear from the company. Here's what we're offering, but here's how to use it, and here's how to implement it, and here's all the different ways that it can really go well. And I think based on a lot of things that we discussed on this call today and that Jessica mentioned, you're going to want to be on that live stream on Thursday, because it's actually going to be really big for launching your December well and for maximizing. One of the things that we do talk about is working as hard the first 2 weeks of the month as we work the last 2 weeks of the month. So, and because Christmas and New Year's are coming that last 2 weeks, family's going to be in town, kids are going to be home from school, and all that you're going to be going out and looking at Christmas lights and just being busy in the best way is if you could work these first 2 weeks, if you can go as heavy and hard on conversations, getting in as many conversations as you can these first 2 weeks, because here's what will happen. The first 2 weeks you will get in conversations. You will get in, make a list of 50 conversations that you are in about whatever, whether it's feeling good for the holidays, New Year's resolutions, whatever kind of conversations you want to get into. You could literally start having conversations right now about what are people putting in their New Year's resolution like bucket. And then that last 2 weeks is closing out those conversations. But I really think if you challenge yourself to get in fact, tell your sponsor or your running buddy, whoever you do plexus with, like, I'm committed to getting in 20 conversations these first 2 weeks of the month. Now, those don't have to convert to VIPs those first 2 weeks, but if you get in the conversations in the first 2 weeks, then it's so much easier to close out those conversations the last 2 weeks when there's all this stuff going on and people are like, oh, Christmas is over. It's the 28th. Tell me what's going on now. And you're like, oh, I'm so glad that we talked the first 2 weeks of the month. Then you got really busy. And now you're like, okay, I want to circle back around to that conversation as opposed to starting the conversation on the 27th or 28th. I mean, I was starting conversations on the 30th and 31st that first year, and it's harder that people have been watching me post an incessant, ridiculous amount all of December, and they were like, okay, now what is it you're selling? And so I just want to challenge you to decide on a number and get in that many conversations these first 14 days of December. And if you do sign anybody up, it's double personal enrollments the first 2 weeks of the month for Cancun. So if you're still trying to get one level, if you're still trying to hit that credits for Cancun, if you're still trying to go up a level, get as many credits as you can these first 15 days. And then kind of everything after that's icing on the cake on whatever happens the rest of the month. But if you can get on that Thursday call, it'd be great. Jessica, I think everything you shared, I'm excited. I'm just saying, I wish I could go senior gold all over again because that fly-in just sounds like such a gift on belief, on vision casting, and then getting to sit down with, Alec and Tarl or Ashley Hauer or getting to see the lab. I mean, I'm still jealous that you got to see the lab and taste the product. I still haven't tasted that flavor yet, but so many people have, and I'm ready for it to come out. But I just think our company has so much good stuff happening and so much is coming out in 2026. I've seen a little bit of the roadmap of 2026 for our company, and it's just going to get better, but you can't wait till the stuff drops and then decide to show up. If you show up right now, then you're already in those conversations. You already have your list. Any parting words, Jessica, that you can think of that you're like, okay, I want to make sure that they know this? I think we talked about everything.
I know, yeah, we talked about a lot. Just stay consistent. And like you said, I feel like a big thing for me is starting on the first of the month and just keeping the same momentum going, because a lot of people who I signed the last week in November were people in conversations I had November 1st or even on October or previous months. So just plant the seed, keep the conversations going. And just another thing about Plexus and the company, I forgot to mention earlier, but the energy here is so amazing. And that's what I loved about the fly-in was just like, I'm not really like a bold person, but there are bold people here and I love it. And I think that the more involved you get in this company, the more energy you get too.
I love that. It's so true. The more you show up for, the more you kind of believe that it's possible for everyone. And the more people you see, Jessica, I'm sure you saw people that you were like, I would have never maybe reached out to someone like that, but you're at Fly-In, you're seeing them go senior gold, and you're like, oh, well, then maybe I will check out message my mom's friends. Maybe I will message these couple people that, I mean, kind of didn't seem like me, but now there's people not like me at Fly-In, and I never even thought about maybe reaching out, like broadening your horizons a little bit on who you were thinking about. So I think I mean, I'm jealous in the best way, like a healthy jealousy of like, you got to do something that I'll never get to do because, I've gone past senior gold, so I'll never get to do the fly-in. And so you've experienced something that you're casting vision for all of us because you're the first one on the team, but Lexi's going next. And we're so excited that Lexi got senior gold last month, so she gets to do fly-in. And the next opportunity that works for her and littles, as we all know, that's hard. But I'm really proud of what y'all are building, the lives that y'all are changing. And I just think like it's going to be so much fun in 2026 to watch and see what happens because it may go from Cancun to Mayacoba, Mexico by July 31st. So I just think there's endless possibilities if you keep your belief high and if you stay bold and get in those conversations. I think there's so much that's going to happen. So, okay, I cannot wait to see what everybody does with December. I'm thankful for each of y'all. And okay, we got a big month ahead of us with big things. And I hope to see y'all all on the Thursday night call that corporate's doing. We'll talk later. Thanks, Jessica.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.